Welcome back, everybody. Now today I'm back with something kind of on the weird side. Now I've tried candles in the past, but those candles were weird because of how they function. These are not interesting because of the way they function. They're interesting because of the way they smell. I've got 4 bizarre candle scents, and that's today's video. And let's start off by looking at the 4 contenders. I've got 3 candles and a set of wax cubes. These 3 are from the Bookstore Candle company, not sponsored by the way. They just happen to have a lot of interesting candles. And this is these wax cubes from a different vendor. Here are the 3 contenders though. We have the Bookstore Candle, Thunderstorm Candle, and Bookstore Candle. And over here for the wax melts, we have leather wax melts, which were hand poured in Indiana. Let's take a look at all 4 of these and then get started. First up is the Thunderstorm scented candle. I paid $34.99 for this. This is the 8-ounce jar. They say it smells like petrichor and warm summer rains. Next up, let's see what we got here. This is the Bookstore scent, that's right. I paid $23.99 for the 4-ounce jar. They say this smells like books, leather, and coffee. That should be interesting. And the last scent of the Bookstore candles is my favorite of the bunch, the one I'm looking forward to the most, which is Bookstore. I paid $24.99 for the 4-ounce jar. They say it smells like popcorn, carpet, and VHS tapes. Now that is a scent worth checking out. Not to be outdone, I wanted to try some wax melts, so I picked up just the standard leather wax melts from a different vendor online. I paid $5.39 for a pack of 6 cubes. These should be interesting. I'm gonna start with the one that I'm looking forward to the most, and that is the Bookstore Candle. That's a scent that I remember vaguely back in the day, so I'm kind of curious if they get captured in the candle itself. Let's fire it up and see how it smells. Open it up here, just taking a quick look. A nondescript looking candle. Let me take a quick sniff here. I'm not sure if that's a Bookstore smell when you get it point blank like that, but that's an unusual smell, that's for sure. But this is supposed to be a smell that fills your room, not directly out of the candle. So let me light this up and see how it smells. I used to run a lot of video games at the Bookstore, so this seems like an appropriate lighter to use. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit. I'm gonna let it kind of fill the area with the Bookstore scent, and I'll come back in a few minutes and let you know how it actually smells. All right, I left the room for a little bit to kind of reset my smell here, and it's kind of a strange fragrance. It smells like carpet and popcorn. I'm not sure I get the VHS tapes part of it. I don't even know what a VHS tape smells like. It's kind of a strange smell. Wow, that's an unusual smell. I don't even know how to describe that. It is kind of, I mean, when you think Bookstore, you definitely get Bookstore. But if you were to put it up to someone's nose and say, what is that? I'm not sure they would come up with it. It's certainly a nice looking candle. And the smell is nostalgic, although if you're not nostalgic for that smell, you might think it's just kind of a funny smelling candle. It's pretty faint, but once again, I think you want faint. I don't think you want this to be a strong smell in your house. I think if I lit this and had company come over, they probably wouldn't even comment on it. They wouldn't say, wow, your house smells like a Bookstore. They would just say, what's that candle scent? It's kind of unusual. And then it would be a good conversation piece. Is it accurate to a Bookstore? I would say probably. That's bizarre, man. That's just strange. Definitely carpet and popcorn. More than anything else. That's so strange, man. I keep smelling it because it's so familiar. It's such a familiar smell to me. Maybe I do smell the VHS tapes. Maybe they're in there. That's so bizarre. Anyways, I'm gonna extinguish this one, let the air dissipate, and move on to the next candle. Next up, this is gonna be an interesting one. The Bookstore Candle supposedly smells like books, leather, and coffee. That's an interesting combination. That's kind of what bookstores smell like. Let's fire this one up here. Smell it without being burnt first. Whoa. Oh, whoa. I definitely smell the leather. There is kind of a book and coffee smell. The leather's strongest, but it's there. Wow. All right, let's light this and see what happens. The others might come through better when it's lit. And there we go. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit for a while. I'm gonna let it kind of fill the air, and we'll come back and see how it smells. All right, here we go. I left the room once again to reset my nose. This one's a little bit stronger than the previous one, than the Bookstore. Man, that kind of, almost, you know what, that actually kind of smells like a leather-bound book. Imagine having a whole case of leather-bound books behind you. That's what it smells like. They should burn these at bookstores so they can like enhance the smell. Oh, that's bizarre, man. Once again, if you were to look at the candle, you would not think much of it, and you certainly wouldn't think that it's supposed to smell like a bookstore. So far, I would say this one is a little bit stronger than the Bookstore Candle, but they're both pretty mild. I would say they're not, neither one are very strong, which is probably a good thing. I'm kind of imagining sitting up late reading a book with this next to me. It would certainly increase the atmosphere of a book session. It does kind of smell like a used bookstore, not a new bookstore, but a used bookstore. I'm not sure I want my whole house to smell like that, but yeah, it's certainly kind of nostalgic. It's pretty accurate for what it's trying to capture. But we've got 2 more to try out. Once again, I'll let the air here dissipate, and then we'll move on to the last of the candles. All right, here we go. This is the Thunderstorm Candle. Let's check it out. Oh wow, that's a different smell. Not quite what I expected. Is that Thunderstorm? Maybe. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. My mind's going, what in the world was that? I don't even know. Let's light it and see what happens. All right, it is lit. We have our Thunderstorm Candle lit. Once again, I'll come back in a few minutes and see how it smells. It's a bigger candle, will it have a bigger aroma? And we'll find out in a few minutes. All right, it's been about 5 minutes and I'm kind of detecting hints of a rainstorm. There's almost a sweetness to it, but overall it kind of has an earthy scent to it. Like a sweet earthy scent to it. It doesn't have a chemical smell to it whatsoever. It doesn't have a burning smell to it. That's an interesting one. Does it smell like a thunderstorm? Maybe. I can see how some people would get that. I'm not sure everybody would get it, but I can certainly see how some people would. As someone who really enjoys the smell of a thunderstorm, I do enjoy the scent of this candle. The sense of smell is very subjective though. Some people might smell it one way and others smell another. To me, I can see what they're going for and I can see how it smells like a thunderstorm. Is it worth $35 for the novelty? Maybe. It might be to some people. I certainly think it's interesting. It's definitely a conversation piece. You have this sitting out, people come in your house, they're gonna wanna know what's going on with this. But I've got one more to try out and these are the wax melts. So let's try those next. All right, let's crack open these leather wax melts and see what we got going on here. Oh wow, that's a leather smell. That smells like leather. Just gonna take one of these cubes here, put it in my fireplace wax melt warmer. I'm gonna place one cube in there. Wow, that smells like leather. I'm gonna let this melt and I'll come back and let you know how it smells to me. All right, it's about half melted and I got an update for you. This is where we're at. The wax melter is doing its thing and it's certainly making progress here. But unlike the other strange Dio candles, you know, these had kind of a mild scent to them. My entire house smells like a leather jacket. Some people may like that and some people may not, but it's certainly a much stronger scent than the candles were. I was literally in the next room around the corner and I could smell leather. It's not an unpleasant smell. It's certainly a strong smell. It's like when you buy a brand new leather jacket and you're wearing it and you just has that leather smell permeating the air. That's what I smell. If you like the smell of leather, you would probably love these wax melts. Some people online said the scent didn't really last that long, but initially it's pretty bold. It's a bold scent. It's almost like when you go shopping for a leather jacket and you have a whole display rack of them. That's what it smells like. It's pretty strong. But let me go back to these candles real quick here. I'm gonna kind of just run through them quickly. The video store. Let me take a quick smell of this. Man, that's interesting. It's one of the most unusual scents I think I've ever smelled. It's familiar and it shouldn't be a good scent. Like you should dislike the way this smells, but it's so nostalgic that it's not bad. Man, I can see how they would say it smells like carpet popcorn and VHS tapes. I kind of get all three of them. Very strange. Certainly a novelty piece. If you ever have a party or something like that, you got to get one of these. You got to do it. Let's try the Bookstore one more time. Oh man, Bookstore. You know what? It's funny that the coffee smell kind of came out a little bit later. There's a bit of a coffee scent to it. Leather, old books, and coffee, I smell all of them. They captured it. They captured it for sure. Once again, without the backstory of what this is, you may not like it. But once you realize what it's supposed to be and you kind of associate that with your mind, it's generally a pretty pleasant scent. It actually brings back nostalgic feelings of being at a used bookstore when I was a kid. And finally, the Thunderstorm, let's see. That's different, man. I keep saying that. This is different. That is different. That is a different scent. There's maybe a bit of a perfume scent in there that doesn't elicit a thunderstorm scent, but overall, to me, this is it's about as close as you're gonna get. I've never smelled anything closer to a thunderstorm than this, so I think they're certainly on the right track with this. I think all these are interesting. They're all worth trying out. The cost might be a bit high for some of the candles, but there's certainly a conversation piece. In some cases, they're nostalgic. A scent is kind of hard to reproduce. You can look at photos, but it's hard to really recapture a scent, and they've done a pretty good job with these. The sense of smell is pretty subjective, so not everybody's gonna agree on if these are accurate or not. But that's all I've got. If you've tried any of these candles or these wax melts, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.